going on, everybody? You are live with Osiris. Welcome to the Author's Lounge. The world is filled with storytellers, and I, along with my guests, are here today in the Author's Lounge to help educate and inspire the young generation of writers and creators. Now, my guests are professionals in publishing, writers from a wide range of formats, and successful entertainers. They will provide beneficial advice on what to do and what not to do on your path to success. So, without further ado, I'll present to you our next guest. Let's go.
I have a wonderful person here with me today. She is someone I actually met through a different podcast that I am one of the co-hosts for, which is the Cozy Book Nook podcast over on X, hosted by my friends Christina and Laban. While she was on the show, I had an opportunity to just sit back and listen to what everyone had to say. In particular, with my guest here, she had a lot of information. She is a literary agent, and she has a wealth of knowledge, not just as a literary agent, but even as a book marketer or marketing books, how you should go about when it comes to selling books, or what goes into even obtaining a literary agent, wanting to be trad published, if you want to be self-published, the information that she has on there, she's filled with this knowledge. And I just learned she lives like 20 minutes from me. So that's also something interesting. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the wonderful Mrs. Leslie Varney. What's going on, ma'am?
Uh, uh, Lovely to be here, Ms. Varney.
Miss Varney.
If I was Mrs. Varney, I'd have to be married to my father, and I think that would be a little odd. So we're
no.
right over that. Yeah, it's great to be here. It's great to be part of this. Yeah. Wonderful.
No, for sure. And so as I was mentioning before
And
we
just
started,
Leslie, by the way, too. You know,
Leslie?
we don't have to just Leslie. We don't need to go with the Ms. or the Mrs.
Okay. Hey, that works. All right, Leslie, you got it. You got it. So, I wanted to ask too. I know I had just mentioned, about where we met through the Cozy Book Nook podcast, and on there you were talking a great deal about just you as a literary agent and what you've seen in the industry and what you've been able to learn and what you were teaching them on there. So I wanted to kind of get into that. How did you become a literary agent?
I became a literary agent by opening my own agency.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. My mother was a literary agent.
Mhm.
She had fallen into being a literary agent in Pennsylvania for one of the most famous science fiction fantasy um, literary agencies, very long lived, still exists, the Virginia Kid Agency. And
Yeah.
then when she left, she started her own agencies. And when she was she got dementia, and when she was too far gone, she came to live with me, and I started an agency with two people who had worked with her, and that's how we started it.
Nice. Now, how has that been for you exactly, right? Like, and keeping and sustaining the business, as the literary agent over the period of time that you've been doing it.
Um, when I started the business, I did it as an equity project. I had not intended to actually be part of it, but uh, a lot of people who become literary agents do so by working as an intern for
Mhm.
great periods of time at very little money,
Yeah.
very, very little reparation. And my mother was somebody who had the money to start her own agency through family. She was a trust fund baby. And so she was able to do that. And yet I felt that the recompense that she was giving the people who worked for her was really quite slight.
Mhm.
And when I saw the money that was in her account for that, her business account, I called them up and said, "Hey, you want to start an agency?" Kind of thinking, okay, this would give each of them, a cushion and give them some, experience of them being out on their own doing it, and that I would kind of just kind of hang back.
Right.
So yeah, it's changed a lot for me.
Hmm. Oh, for
I've
sure.
become very, very, very integrated into the system. It's changed
Yeah.
a great deal.
Oh no, nice. So the market, right, around here, this area where we reside at, how has that been for you in terms of clients reaching out to want to have you as representation? What does that look like for you?
This is the Pacific Northwest has a lot of people who are interested in writing horror, any speculative, thrillers, and of course, science fiction fantasy. So, and there are a lot of, one of the most famous conventions is held in SeaTac for the country, every year. So that's a really, really good source. And then there's another one that travels up and down the West Coast, and there another one that can be very good as well. And we got what, Emerald City Comic Con, and a
Yeah.
couple other ones. So yeah, we have a good place for that. And in talking about like filming with you earlier, I wanted to say, don't forget how Seattle has got, this whole new soundstage situation going on. And oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about that after, because yeah.
Wow. Okay. So it's crazy how things line up
Hmm.
because I
Serendipity, I
was
love it. Hmm.
yeah, it's like how crazy things get in alignment. So I was talking to my wife about 2 months ago when I knew that this time frame was coming up in terms of okay, this is the end of the road for me with the military. It's coming up soon, and she was like, "Well, what are you thinking about in terms of living?" I know what I'm thinking, but what about you, babe? And I told her, I said, I want to go back to California. She said, that's interesting because I want to stay here. I'm like, well, don't we have a little bit of a dynamic going on right now, don't we? So why do you want to go back to California? Show business. Yeah. Like, is there, and she said she really loves it here. And we grew up on two ideologies: happy wife, happy life, or happy spouse, happy house. Right. And it's like, if we stay here,
Yeah.
if we stay here, what benefit does that have for me? If we go back to California, where some of her family lives at, what benefit does it have for her? Where if we're going to
Right.
go back to the homeland that gave her the trauma, do I want to stay in an area that I really haven't really fully given a chance, but I know where comfort is in terms of show business, but it's really more of a benefit for me. So then it was a conversation of, well, what's the market like around here? Like, what's the filming industry like around
Hmm.
here? Like,
Hmm.
never mind comparing it to SoCal because that's the hub in the entire planet for
Right.
making films is right there in Los Angeles. But what does it look like here? And so she convinced me. She short end of the story. I ended up being cast in a haunted house largely in part because my wife went to a she we went to this farmers market, a Haunter's farmers market in Tacoma, and she spotted a haunted house based thing. They weren't holding auditions, but they had information about an audition. She brought me there, say, hey, here's my husband. He's the one that who would love to be a part of it. Said, oh, hey, pleasure to meet you. What's your name? I said, oh yeah, it's Osiris. And at that point, I'm just fully playing along because I had no clue what was going on. But I just said, yeah, I know, I've always wanted to do it. But I looked at my wife and I was like, I wonder what's going on here. Short end of the story, I got casted. I got to be a cast member on it. We had 20 shows. I was able to do 12. We just wrapped up on November 1st and of 2025, and it was heartbreaking, but it was awesome. And I got my love. Like it flourished. It skyrocketed through. And I don't mean to talk so much, but I just got to tell you this part.
No, no,
Um,
that's so cool. That is
yeah,
so cool.
yeah,
Yeah. And
we.
I want to talk more about that with you as well later, because I would love to get back into doing live theater myself. So,
Yeah, no, it was such a wonderful experience. But what it ended up doing was it opened me up to different people who are filmmakers who live here in the
Mm,
Washington, Tacoma, Seattle area specifically. And that was part of the reason why I wanted to go back, was because it was like, well, I got people actually in the industry who are professional actors who
right,
who are in the union that I have ties with that can help me do my thing over there.
right, right,
But if I stay here, where is it at? You know, I'm not like undermining it at all, because I'm sure there's always a place for somebody. But I honestly didn't know where to look and who to ask. Even though I have a social media following, it's like a lot of them aren't here. And so, but I met a few people on that cast. Um, and one of my friends, his name is Patrick. He's a filmmaker. He's a director as well. And one of his movies is on Amazon. And then another guy I met, his name is Eric. He's a filmmaker as well. And I met a plethora of actors that was on the cast. Short end of the story, they're filmmakers, as am I, and we ended up just connecting. Met another friend. Her name is Monica. She introduced me at HorrorCon that just happened about 2 weeks ago. Um, she introduced me to some of her writer friends who also have ties in with the entertainment industry around this area. So you mentioning that about the soundstage is like everything that I was wanting to search for is coming like back to back to back to back to back. And
right,
my reasons for
right.
wanting to go to California doesn't necessarily need to happen at this moment, because I can start where I am. So that's all
Right.
I wanted to say.
Right. No, yeah, excellent. Really, really cool stuff, and the one of the people who we rep for his media rights is around here as well. And so many people you end up finding out are in this area. It seems like a really creative hub, you know? Yeah,
Oh, no doubt. No doubt at all. There's a ton of creatives here. I mean, the
really.
one thing I will not undermine at all is how artistic it is in this part of the country. In
Yeah.
fact, it's just in Seattle, from Tacoma all the way to Seattle, just the amount of artists that's around here,
Hmm.
actual people who paint pictures and who illustrate and do all kinds of
It's
creative work
crazy. Yeah.
is here. I'm like, wow, I guess these gloomy clouds bring out the best in people.
My uncle lived in Vancouver for a million years, Vancouver, BC, and
Mhm.
he and his partner started a publishing company. They were writing poetry and doing films and doing art, and they couldn't get published, so they decided to, start their own publishing press and, s- you know, publish themselves.
Yeah,
Um, Again, start it. If you can't find it, start it. Obviously
exactly.
there's something needed if you can't find it.
No, for sure. Now, and speaking of which, to kind of like to put the attention back on you, because I'm curious, what books do you represent as a literary agent?
We primarily represent fiction, and we're not too choosy on what kind of fiction. We're open to, pretty much all fiction genres. But we definitely have a grounding and a love for science fiction, fantasy,
Hmm.
horror, thriller. Those are, our meat and potatoes that we just adore. Much of our stuff, even we have a literary fiction right now that we're repping, and it's even that has a mystique to it. It's like it has
Yeah,
a little twist where you're like, oh wow, that's not normal,
hmm,
so we do a lot of cross genre stuff as well in that way.
nice.
um and we seek to represent voices that have not been represented as much as they
Mhm.
should have been in the past 100 years. And
Yeah,
we do that because we're greedy, selfish people. So don't think that we're only out for the good for everybody else. We like to
yeah,
help get our little stick in there too. So,
for sure. No, for
yeah.
sure. No, that's wonderful. Well, that's wonderful. Do you all go through? Do any of your clients? Do you get any of them published with any of the big five?
Well, yes, we do.
Yeah, good.
um, uh, we have a book coming out in January. from a writer named Moniquil Black Goose.
Hmm.
And this is the second book in her series. And she is published with Del Rey, which is Penguin Random House. So,
Yeah,
yes, yes, we are very lucky to have been represented. We are represented by several top publishers, including
good for
Tor,
you.
which is a big one in our particular. Yeah,
No, that's awesome. You are a great example of creating the opportunities for other people. I was just talking about this. I think I recorded a video. I tend to do stuff like for social on social media where I'm putting out messages throughout the day or throughout the week, the ones that can help people. And one of those messages was you have to create. If you don't see it, you need to create it. Create
right.
the opportunities, and many people go looking for. Because that was actually my impression after my wife had talked to me, and I was thinking before I was meeting other filmmakers, and I was thinking, okay, well,
Right. You
maybe I
keep
can just
putting
establish
together.
something here, and
Right.
then in that establishment, something will come out of it.
Hmm.
Um, but because I am a firm believer in you have to create this painting behind me. My wife created it.
I love it.
She
I've
paint.
been looking at it the whole time. Yeah, it's beautiful. Please tell her the movement in it is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, oh, I'll tell her that. So that is going to put a huge smile on her face. She has a ton of art because we live close to each other. I'd be willing to give you one of these things too. She has a boatload. Here's a few right now. She has this one that she did. It's
That's
like,
beautiful.
yeah,
That's beautiful. I
yeah. She has some more abstract art.
mm.
She did this one as well.
Oh, I would be honored to have any of it. Any of it.
Yeah.
Wait, hold
Oh,
on
okay.
one sec.
I'll let her know. And so,
Oh,
funny story about that is right. Is that she wanted to throw it all away. She said,
oh,
like she has about I think like 20 of them, and she just didn't want it anymore. Maybe she was going through something at that point in time, but I told her I'm not throwing any of them away, and I took it all from her and I stored it in here, and been keeping it ever since. And I said, you know what? Let me just throw one on the wall here, and yep, it's
I
been
love
awesome.
it.
But yeah, no, I'll let her know.
If you, I have a picture. It's hard to see because there's a glare, but
It
it's
looks like a
oh,
bison.
it is. Yeah, it's yeah, and we have another one by the same artist. This is my husband's mother's work.
Wow.
And she did an A to Z animal book for kids, and this is one of the drawings that she did prior to
Wow.
the actual picture in the book.
Oh,
Um,
that's beautiful.
we have another one of a mountain lion as well. So yeah, I mean, just so blessed to have
Wow.
beautiful art in our life.
Do you represent children's books as well, or is it? I know you had mentioned just a particular genres.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we haven't had the chance to represent very much in children's books,
Hmm.
but especially my partner has been wanting to very much so. And there is, some that I'm currently looking at passing on to him. So, yeah,
Yeah, I'll have to talk to you offline about some of the stuff
yeah,
that I have as well. So I have a lot. I've published a lot of work, but then I represented teenagers. But then I ended up um discontinuing that just because there was too much going on with me. I ended up getting diagnosed with PTSD while in the military, and generalized anxiety disorder, which I was like, that's news to me, but I guess it makes sense with everything, and so. Yeah, it's been a wild ride, but what's been really helpful aside from like doing the show, being with my family, and just doing things creatively with film and things like that has been writing. Here's actually one of my books, one of my children's books. This one just won an outstanding creator contest. Uh, it won the best children's book of the summer of 2025, and this is some of the illustrated. I hired a professional illustrator here. This is based in San Francisco. And hold on, let me go to one of the pages. Because you were in the Bay Area, I'm sure you can definitely appreciate some of this artwork.
oh
Here,
yeah,
that's
oh
China.
yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's in Chinatown. Another one here was this was down here, a financial district down at Big
Hmm.
Long Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
been
you hired the illustrator. And
Mhm.
then you went to a press and published it, or you sold it to a publisher?
No, I became my own publisher. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah. Of that, but I ended up having it distributed through Kindle Direct Publishing and Barnes and Noble Press.
Okay.
I think this copy of the book, though, I went through Book Vault. I think I'd have to get their name for them to give me their own copy because some of the copies, like, let me move this really quick. Yo, here's one. So this right here is my it's my. I'm just getting it right here out of the box. It's underneath it. Sorry.
Mm-mm. Oh no, Osiris, you're gone.
Am I
Ah,
back?
you're back. Yes.
So right here, this is my the Christmas book, but I got some foil on it, some red foil through them, and did a little Christmas book. This little bunny right here was a part of like my a book series that I had, the John book series, and but yeah, I did something special with them. But I ended up just doing research on different people who could print out stuff and what the quality would look like. But after a while, it became a lot for me. Also, on top of when I was being seen in mental health for what what would
Right,
become PTSD, it was just a lot. So now I
right,
told myself, I think next time when it comes to publishing, I think I'm just gonna go the traditional route because this is too much that's just going on. I have all my stuff. I have many more written, but I haven't done the query or anything like that because I'm like, I just, I can't right now.
right. You have a lot going on. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's not like,
but
yeah.
yeah, but I'll definitely, I mean, well, I plan on meeting with you at some point anyway. Now that I know we literally live like 25 minutes from each other. I got
It's
a friend,
crazy.
Monica, who I mentioned, who introduced me to her friends. She lives in Kent as well.
Oh, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
but sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking.
No.
Want to ask you some more questions. You're really easy to talk to.
Oh, good. I
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, so aside from aside from being a book, being a literary agent, who you represent and how you created it, one of the things that stood out to me a lot while you were on the Cozy Book Nook podcast was how being getting out from the comfort zone and actually attending festivals or attending conferences, how much of a benefit that is. So, like, I definitely want to go more in depth with you on that if you don't mind. Um,
Yeah, sure.
what is in your opinion, what has been some of the better benefits of actually attending like book fairs and book festivals and writer conferences?
Well, I haven't done book fairs, and mostly I've done writers' conferences and
Mhm.
conventions.
Okay.
Uh, so for writers' conferences, for me, it's always a benefit because there's a place, there's a situation where we're going to be doing kind of like a fast meet and greet with
Mhm.
different authors. So, within the day, we'll do 10-minute slots with authors who are, looking for feedback on their book situation and hopefully to court us as well. So that's good for me. And then for it's beneficial usually to other people because there are usually classes as well. I've taught a couple of classes. There are a lot of people. There's a lot of mingling, and especially at conventions, there's a lot of
Mhm.
mingling, and you get to um, you get to see your favorite authors hang out in the bar,
Yeah.
you can even say, "Hey, cool to meet you," So there are
Yeah.
those kind of benefits too. But, just the networking and the
Hmm.
going to the different panels and because publishing changes so quickly, and you're going to a panel that's telling you what the trends are now. S- But next year you're gonna need that panel again,
Yeah.
'Cause yeah.
I think one of the things that I've learned too, but with attending these conferences, and I forgot to mention the convention. Like, how can I forget to mention the convention? No, when I went to HorrorCon, a spot where they have actual celebrities and things there, you would imagine that to
Right.
be intimidating for authors who don't have a name for themselves. And nope, they still went, and they came like a village, and I really loved seeing that because I personally was more intrigued with going there and seeing that there was an actual panel of
The
authors there
community.
than I was
Yeah.
meeting a lot of the other well-established people that were there. And one of them I knew, his name was Mark Robinson. I'm like, Mark, what? I had no clue he was there, but yeah. So, but conventions is I think is a
Mm.
wonderful place. I think each one has their own. I've done book fair, book festival, a convention, and a writers conference. I personally think that you can't go wrong with any of them. But if you have to do one as an author anyway, you want to go to. Well, I don't want people to pick between what I want to say, but to me, I personally see more of a benefit going to conventions and writing conferences versus a
Mhm.
book festival or a book fair. But I don't think people can go wrong with either or. Like just kind of flip a coin and or spin the bottle and see wherever it lands and have fun. But definitely get out there and network amongst the people, especially for introverts, where I know that to be a difficult thing for introverts.
And, one of the things I'd like to say to that is people are very afraid to approach publishers and agents, especially, or, authors. If I'm out in public, I'm giving you permission to approach me.
Hmm.
That's my personal standing on that. Other people, I'm sure, have different standings on that, but to me, that seems appropriate. As if
Hmm.
I'm out there in public, then yeah, you have the right to approach me. If you're an ass, I'll tell you're an ass and get the fuck out. But
Yeah.
meanwhile, if you approach me in any fun or professional manner, I'm going to respond to you.
Yes, ma'am. No, for sure. And I think it should be like that. It gets reciprocated. But I think that there's no reason, especially in settings like that, why people should be rude. Like everyone's there to have a good time. Everyone's there because there's some sort of love for storytelling. And what's really the issue with like why does somebody have to be rude or be cruel for it? I don't know. That's a whole different topic.
Right.
Um
Right.
but if they want to do it, they just can't be surprised if they get a receipt, like what you're saying.
Right. Right. Exactly.
No,
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, so I'll ask you a few more questions and then I'll definitely let you get on your way. So, um what now I know that query tracker and things with people when it
Mhm.
comes to wanting to for people for authors who want to find an agent. I remember one thing you mentioned, and I don't please forgive me if I'm misquoting you on this, but it was something along the lines of you don't use query tracker, right? And so you may be doing yourself a disservice by depending solely on going to query tracker. So what are some other ways for authors to find literary agents outside of going, to writing conferences and conventions and in query tracker?
Yeah, the other ways to do it, if they want to pay for a publisher's marketplace, that's an excellent source
Hmm.
um, to find out who publishers and agents are, and what they're looking for and what their kind of where the trends have been. It's a treasure trove of information, but you do have to pay for it.
Hmm.
Um, Other ways is just through word of mouth. Social media is obviously a great place to find people who are published, and they are usually willing to share with you like who's good and who isn't.
Hmm.
If you're worried about some place, there's always writers beware, which kind of tells you people who are sneaky, agents who are charging, or publishers who are actually vanity presses, stuff
Mm,
like that. Um, yeah, so there's that kind of, or just searching what's your genre and literary agent.
yeah.
And, of course, now we have AI, so that's always helpful.
Yeah, no, for sure. And now you giving the blueprint out for it and quite in detail. I find it to be to be immensely helpful. So my thinking is right when it comes to getting an agent in general, and I know this is probably more like individualized, but I've heard the phrase, or not the phrase, but the term. Okay, well, we got to look at it. This is a world now where everything's about not just about social media, but you need to have a social media presence
Mm,
because at the end of it is still a business, like a business acquisition, right? And we need to know that there can be something lucrative that can come about having you be represented by me as the literary agent. So when you, or maybe not you, but just maybe you or people who you know who are in your company as literary agents, when it comes to social media and you look at the following count, is there a particular number that it has to be at? And if it is at that number, do you all authenticate to see, is this actually, like if it says they have 100,000 followers across social media and the number looks fine, but people can buy these subscribers too. So
right.
how can one know what does that look like for you all as a literary agent, if you can speak to that?
Um, for us personally, we don't look at it. Uh,
Ah,
the author that I spoke about recently, with you, Mona Quill, she is not somebody who does social media.
mhm,
She's on Discord, she's on Tumblr, but she's very much low key. She doesn't a lot of attention. So, that while she does use her platforms to promote, she does it she doesn't do very much of it at all, you
mhm,
know? Um, I don't care. I don't care what your social media following is. If you have 100,000 and they're all bots and you bought them all, it doesn't matter to me.
mhm,
Everything is going to come down to, can I sell your book?
mhm,
And that's the bottom line. That's my job. My job is to sell your book to a publisher. And if I can, I'm going to do it. And if I can't, there are reasons. You may not understand the reasons at the time, but there
mhm.
are.
That's good. And just in talking to you, you seem like a fighter, somebody who will go
Mhm.
really hard for people who you represent. And if it doesn't work out for this publisher, let's try this one. Oh, make no mistake, we're gonna find something. Or like, at what point does it become like, okay, I've exhausted all my options. I'm sorry, it just won't work out.
It It happens. It
Yeah.
happens a lot. It happens a lot. And sometimes it happens on our part. We've just kind of exhausted everything. And often it happens on the author's part where they just feel like it's too long of a wait for them.
Hmm.
I just lost an author, a YA author, who that's exactly why. She was
Hmm.
like, how many places have I been sent to in the past 2 years? I feel at this point in my career, I need this to be faster.
Hmm.
So she and I went our separate ways.
Hmm.
Um, so it can be on either party's part.
For sure.
For us, the things that are going to stop it are, we really just have sent it every single place. And even then, we still want your work. Don't, we signed you. We didn't necessarily sign just this particular piece,
Hmm.
so and then, the other way that it kind of goes to is, um if we now have to put this on a shelf, and we go with something else, is there a way that we can go back to this and fix it,
Hmm.
once we've done this other piece? So there's a lot of different places that we can move with on our path, and we like to keep that open as much as possible. For
Hmm.
We like our customers and our
Yeah.
clients. We want to
No, for
keep them.
sure.
And even, Charlie Fredrickson, the YA author who I just parted with, I just saw something for a YA publisher that they're open for, submissions. And I was like, hey, Charlie, check this out. Because
Hmm.
that's what you do.
Yeah. No, good. And I think that speaks to not just you as a business person, an entrepreneur, but just you as a human being. You are
Right.
ultimately, if it doesn't work out, it didn't come from because we didn't try. It just didn't work out. But I still want to look out for you. I still want to
Yeah.
help because you're in a position that many authors are not even aware of. That publisher marketplace that you mentioned, I
Uh-huh.
only heard that website mentioned one other time ever in
Uh-huh.
my life, and that
Uh-huh.
came from another literary agent, Andy
Uh-huh.
Ross, who I had on like several months ago. I think back in March of 2025. He was the only other one who mentioned that.
The class that I teach for newbie authors, that's the kind of information I give them. You
Hmm.
know, um, uh, d- different places that you can place your work, different ways you can publish, the pros and cons
Hmm.
that I personally have seen with all of it. Yeah. And I think that's something that's a really necessary component that we're
Yeah.
missing in the publishing world. Even, I've done internships with people who are graduating with their MFAs in literature.
Hmm.
And, I'll tell them these things and they'll be like, "What are you talking about? I've never heard of this."
Hmm.
Or if I say, "Oh, this is this is the path one will take to get published." They're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, they never told me that."
Oh wow. Now,
Yeah.
no, it's funny because that's more like a gatekeeper mindset, right? Have you found it at all to be hard for when it comes to representation, right? Of people, regardless of what we look like. How much harder is it for people who are minority based versus people who are not to get their work published? Because there's this visible visibly is obvious apparent when you can go on any of the big five's websites and you can see that most of them don't look, they're not minorities, a lot of them are Caucasian, and there could be a perception out there. I'm not saying my perception, but a perception in general that if you don't look like this, you're less likely to get your book looked at, and that also seems like a very old school based mindset that seems to still be prominent today. Um, and a lot of it probably can be indicative of the administration and what they're pushing out to the country and blah 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 blah, right? But as a representative, right, as a representation of authors, um, how do you tell an author that sees that that's a minority, hey, no, there's a place for you, trust me? Like, what does that conversation look like?
That's a lot. That's a lot in that question there. Um, First of all, there are places that are will only represent minorities or will only represent a particular group of people, whatever that particular group may be. But basically, the way I see it, and the way my partner and I see it is, we want fresh. W- We've had hundreds and hundreds of years of stories coming from one group of people, and it's not that they're all the same, but they're all coming from the same perspective.
Hmm.
And that's not what we're looking for. We want new stories. We want something fresh. And we want it through people's eyes who haven't had that chance to give it to us.
Hmm.
Um, but it's not just us. When we were shopping Monocle's book around, um, I wrote the query letter, and the query letter said, "This is from an Indigenous American perspective. This is from a member of the Seekonk tribe, you know, from she's an active member, and she's, very, very involved in that. And she has a character, her protagonist is from that point of view.
Hmm.
Additionally, um, she has queer representation, she has polyamorous representation,
Hmm.
she has autistic representation.
Mm.
Um, and she has all this with dragons, you know? And
Hmm.
that's something they wanted to hear. They
Yeah.
wanted to hear that this was the fresh. And one of the things I made very clear was that these were not dropped in characters, that these were characters that came from who she was, who
Hmm.
she is,
Hmm.
and so therefore these were not artificial feeling in any way. And I think that's been the big problem, is that this kind of artificial feeling of we're putting in this character because it's politically correct, or we're making sure this character doesn't look that way because it's politically correct, or
Uh,
whichever situation that you're going with. You know what I mean?
hmm. So Oh, wait, sorry. Let me raise the brightness on it. On my computer. Just kind of got darker. No, thank you for sharing that. That wasn't a question that I was thinking of asking before the recording. It just kind of formulated as we were talking, because while we were talking, I remember one of the conversations that I had with the another literary agent, that she had what she had represented and why she wanted to do it. And I just think that's important to know, like because you're in it and you can actually see it. So people aren't oblivious to what's going on. So I think it's something. It's spectacular to actually hear someone who's actually in it can say, "Hey, you know what? This is what it looks like, but this is what we do different, and this is kind of the direction that it can go in if you go in this route." So anyway, I'm kind of just speaking out of the side of my mouth now. I
And,
just really want to say thank you.
and honestly, like with Monique's book, it it went to a bidding. Well, it actually was preempted, but there were 3 publishers who were interested, major publishers.
Hmm.
So, don't think that your stories aren't wanted. Don't do it. We want them.
Oh yeah, just really just can't quit. Have to keep going.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Good stuff. Well, I'll ask you one more question and then I'll leave you alone. Well, I'll probably talk to you for a few minutes after the recording, but I'll leave you alone with this. How, if people want to go and be signed by you, or want to take a chance by reaching out to you, how can they contact you?
My email, lvarney@prenticeliterary.com. That's the
Okay.
easiest way.
Oh, perfect. Okay. And the query letter, right? Is there a particular length that you look for, or a certain character count when it comes to
Uh,
query letters?
oh no, no, not at all. And we're currently not open to queries.
Oh, I
Um,
should have asked that question. Sorry.
no, that's okay. We're not open to queries currently because we're trying to catch up with, the customers and clients we currently have.
Hmm.
But we're small, we're tiny, but we're planning on opening soon. So if you check our website, there is a place that says submissions. This is going to be true pretty much on every literary agency's website. There's going to be a place where you can submit, and you just follow the directions exactly as that particular agent calls for, because everybody's got different things that they're going to want.
Okay. No, is there a
Okay.
particular time of the year where it's better than normal to go? Like I would imagine this year or towards the end of it is probably like maybe not as much, but I really don't know myself, so I'm just quite curious. Is there like a particular time of the season where, hey, submissions like as a whole?
Yeah, no, not really.
Okay.
Everybody's really individual, and I understand it's like such a pain in the because everybody's got their own like rules, and you have to parse through it and make sure that you're doing. We as agents also have to do this, so don't feel like you're alone in that. We have to do the same thing with publishers. So
Yeah. No, for sure. Hey, Leslie, you've been spectacular. I really greatly appreciate you coming on board. Thank you so much for your time today.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank
Any
you so
closing remarks before I let you go?
Hey, if you're really into it, get your story out there. If that story is important, get it out there, keep at it. I don't care if you're 10 or if you're 103, keep moving.
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, thank you so much. Hey, please don't go anywhere. I'll talk to you for like a couple more minutes afterwards. Thank you. Hey,
All right.
thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to tune into today's episode. You're live with Osiris and Leslie. That's all we got for you. You all take care. Catch you next time.